crowds, man. When I got here, it was crowded. Then it cleared out and nobody was here. And then it started to fill up again. And then a few people left and then more people came in. And this is a good, as Mike Clemens likes to call it, a good Wisconsin watering hole right in the middle of a neighborhood, right on the lakefront by Smokey's Bait Shop on Pewaukee Lake. And a tremendous place to come and hang out. Really, really good food tonight. The cheesy sliders and the chicken sliders and Bud Light specials and all kinds of good stuff. We are brought to you by our friends at Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the Bill Michaels Sports Talk Network. Joining us from the Palatial Estate out there in Madison at the Zone, WOZN. Our good buddy Ebo is here this evening. Ebo, how you been, pal?
I've been good, Bill. Happy to join you. And you know you are a good bar when you're by a bait shop. That's just,
yes.
I'm looking at the Bud Light live stream right now. I love the cabin feel. I love the wood feel of the bar you're at Curley's.
This has a giant A-frame ceiling, and it's all wood, white pine on the inside. For those of you that watch Maine Cabin Masters, you probably know what I'm talking about. Shiplap on the crisscross all over this place, and it is absolutely awesome. It's a terrific, and this is one of the places that we ride to as well. So whenever we want to come out and take a motorcycle ride around the lake, this is one of the places that we always make sure to stop at. But really good food, a lot of fun, right down the street from Pewaukee High School. I have seen it here numerous times. The Watts, who also frequent this every now and then. So terrific place, been here a long, long time. The Green Bay Packers head into Baltimore. They're going to be without Kenny Clark, at least seemingly. Kenny Clark today announced he is on the COVID list. Meanwhile, the Packers continue to just get beat up, for lack of a better term. I mean, this is a team that when you look at it in all comparison and for everything they got going on, this team shouldn't be winning games. They continue to erode, and they continue to just lose players. And Billy Turner's now down for, and we don't know how long. I mean, we're still waiting to find out what the details are regarding the injury. But the amazing thing, and I went through the rankings. Starting opening week, they were ranked offensively 32nd in the league. They were bad. It was a bad game. After Detroit, they were 29th. After San Francisco, they were 26th. After Pittsburgh, 25th. Cincinnati, 22nd. 23rd after Chicago. They didn't have a terrific offensive output there. 24th after Washington. And you thought, oh, my goodness. Then 22nd, 20th. 18th after Minnesota. 15th after the Rams. Then you had the bye week. And then now they're now ranked 13th overall after the Bears week. This time last year, they were 5th overall offensively. But when it comes to running the ball, they're still in the 20s. They're 20th now, but 9th overall in passing, exactly where they were last year. But they keep losing offensive linemen, and they're bringing guys in off the street, and I don't know how they're getting it done. Smoke and mirrors, Aaron Rodgers, and a decent defense to back them up. By the way, the defense is ranked this week number 6 in the National Football League, 9th against the rush, 9th against the pass, but 6th overall as they continue to impress. And this week they're going to have to, again, do it without Kenny Clark, at least as of right now. Now, the big news of the day was that the NFL relaxed the COVID policy. So now they're trying to get it to where teams can actually get guys back if you're vaccinated quicker. The new NFL COVID rules are going to allow players to come back. They negotiated the changes into the league's code protocols, which are being put in place immediately, effective immediately. All 32 NFL teams placed in intensive COVID protocols until the conclusion of Week 15. This means the reimposition of mandatory mask wearing in the facility, social distancing, grab-and-go meal. They can't do meals together anymore. No more meal service in the cafeterias. All meetings are now virtual. Limits on the number of people allowed in the weight room. Restrictions on activities outside of the facility. So basically, they're going back in a lockdown because COVID has run rampant. But they're also going to allow teams already have intensive protocols due to the ongoing outbreaks, but also effective immediately. The changes are going to return to play COVID-19 protocols that will make it easier for a player who is vaccinated and asymptomatic to come back and play. How about that?
Bill.
Yes.
The NFL, I think, is 96, 97% vaccinated. It's somewhere in that number.
Correct.
And they have so many players with the COVID outbreak right now. That's way over would be what the unvaccinated players are. So you're telling me that the vaccinated players who make up almost the entire NFL who are now having an outbreak, if they get COVID, they can come back quicker, even though they're the ones that are getting COVID?
Right.
Does that make sense to you?
It doesn't. But here's the problem: 20 players in Cleveland on the COVID protocol list that are supposed to be playing on Saturday night and can't. They don't have enough guys on the practice squad. They are bringing guys in off the street. Both of their quarterbacks, including Baker Mayfield, are now down with COVID. They're trying to test out of it. He tested positive again today. And if he doesn't test negative tomorrow, then he can't play in the game on Saturday. And the NFL does not want to cancel games. So you know why they're doing it? They're doing it for the money. They don't want to give up a game.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, even Baker Mayfield took to Twitter to say the NFL is completely full of crap, basically. And they've got their own issues when it comes to the hypocrisy of COVID testing. But it's just in creating the new return to play protocols, the NFL and the NFLPA focused on the metric that measures the viral load of a player. Now, the last time I used the term viral load, I think I was 19 in a bar and I was trying to sound sophisticated. I don't know what that means, but it's known as the cycle threshold. In essence, the CT value can measure whether or not a player still is contagious, even if in some cases he would still test positive on a traditional basis. I have no idea. So, in other words, you can test positive, but you're not contagious. So go ahead and go back. In other words, we're just going to fudge it and let you go. That's to me what it comes down to. But if it means Kenny Clark can play on Sunday, then I'm all for it.
Yeah, then get him out on the field. Let's go.
Right. So I don't know.
I don't know either, Bill.
I don't know what to make of it.
I've said this a lot about COVID. I said this a lot about COVID and the policies for not only the average Joe Schmo and also professional sports leagues. It doesn't make sense. I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. It only makes sense if you don't think about it. So think of that.
Right. Well, that's exactly right. If I just ignore it, it'll go away and things will be fine. Wink, wink, nod, nod. Let's keep the money flowing. That's kind of what it all comes down to, in my opinion. But it is what it is. So that's going on. In the meantime, the Packers have issues with Aaron Rodgers' toe. Nothing new there, but now there's an actual consideration for surgery. Kenny Clark, as I mentioned earlier, not practicing because of COVID. Meanwhile, you got David Bakhtiari. David Bakhtiari is on the list today when it comes to the injury report. The knee issue, limited today again, but he was on the practice field, which is good news. So you're getting some guys that are starting to at least feel a little bit better. Although I will say this, Aaron Jones is out with illness, did not practice today, and that's not good. Mercedes Lewis takes his usual Veterans Day off. No practice again for Aaron Rodgers. Equinemius St. Brown is out with a concussion, so it doesn't look like he's going to play in this upcoming game. You got Malik Taylor, who's there for a blink of an eye. He's got an abdomen issue. He's limited. Billy Turner, not around today. Marcos Valdes-Scantling has the back issues, and he is limited. So, but in addition to that, Lamar Jackson did not practice today either, the quarterback for the Baltimore Ravens, because of his ankle injury. So, and they've lost, I'll tell you this, the last 4 out of 5 games for the Baltimore Ravens, quarterbacks have thrown double-digit touchdowns against them. Or, 2 or more touchdowns against them. And because their defensive backs have been so beat up, and they are missing so many guys. If you can't throw a touchdown against this team, it's only because you're out there with no arms. I don't know what else to make of it. But Aaron Rodgers, in my opinion, should have a field day against this team coming up on Sunday. This was a game, Ebo, that I thought, you know what? If they're going to lose another game, this is going to be it. Otherwise, I don't think they lose a game the rest of the season. Do you think they stand a chance of losing this game, or the more we get to the weekend, the more confident you feel about it?
Now, Bill, you said the only way you couldn't catch a touchdown or throw a touchdown if you didn't have any arms. Also, maybe if you had COVID and you were out, like all the Browns players. But no, Bill, the line first opened, it was 6.5 favored to the Packers. I was like, whoa, I guess Lamar Jackson's not going to be playing. And then when Lamar Jackson was like, avoided the high ankle sprain and then was going to be practicing his day to day, the line I think is at 4.5 right now, still favored Packers. I thought initially weeks ago that this would be a hard game for the Packers. Now I look at it, I'm like, man, the Packers can go on the road in Baltimore and get a nice victory. I have no problem thinking that they're going to go out there and win. The only thing that makes me hesitant is that Baltimore Ravens have a very good special teams unit, and the Packers have the worst in the league.
The Packers special teams sucks. I don't know how else to put it.
Polite.
Yeah.
That's being polite.
And look, I give Mo Drayton all the credit in the world for being a rah-rah guy and talking plain and simple and all that kind of stuff. but you can't get much worse than what they are. I didn't watch the game live on Sunday night, but I went back and watched the game yesterday, and I am stunned at how bad schematically they are. I am stunned at how Devontae Adams called guys out. Did you hear Devontae's presser yesterday where he says, I don't want to point anybody out, but we know, but then he talked about it being a will and a want to, and that's calling guys out. That's saying, look, if you don't have the will or even the want to do this, I mean, that's what special teams are. That's where you want to make a name for yourself. And some of these young guys, they're not doing it. It's like they're just trying not to get hurt, and they're half-assing it. And it's an embarrassment how bad this thing is.
So, Bill, when I know you were doing your thing in Cincinnati with your family, but, I was doing the post-game show Sunday night, and Devontae Adams was on the podium, and I forget who the reporter was, but had asked Devontae, would you ever think about being on special teams? And Devontae kind of made this look like, no. But he said, in an emergency, sure. And I'm thinking to myself, it's an emergency. I don't want to see Devontae out there, but it's a freaking emergency, dude. It's bad. It's comically bad.
Yeah, this is it. I guess the good news is that there wasn't any missed PATs or field goals out of Mason Crosby. At least that seems to be working better.
Corey Bojorquez has been so great. He had a 22-yard punt.
22-yard shank, yeah.
Oh, but everything else besides the PATs, everything else was just. It was insane. It was insane.
He was the shankopotamus, but beyond that, he's been really, really good. So I can't complain about him. The kick out of bounds, and I was trying to explain that today. If you're not kicking it out of the end zone or you're trying to pin somebody back, you kick it towards the sidelines and hope that the returner goes and grabs it. And he just didn't. And so they ended up getting the ball back out at the 40-yard line. But, man, this is about as bad gets. But the return game for opponents against the Packers, just leaving big gaping lanes open, even when the sideline is your friend. What the hell? It had to be unbelievably frustrating. I knew the outcome of the game going in to watch the game yesterday, so I didn't have a fear. But that second return, the return for the touchdown on the punt, the 97-yard punt return, that had to be where you started biting your nails, because you just battled to get Aaron Rodgers down there to get a score, only to see them come and bring it back and get the game close. But at halftime, were you confident the Packers were going to win that game?
It was the Chicago Bears. The Happy Schnapps combo got the polka song. The Bears still suck, but I liked the drama of it, and it's the rivalry, right? I thought the Packers would win. They ended up, covering that game too. But Bill, to go back to that punt return you're talking about from Hakeem Grant, 97 yards. Not only was that the first punt return this season in the NFL that the Packers gave up, but they gave up a punt return that Aaron Rodgers, Matt LaFleur, and others were commenting on, saying, I've never seen a guy catch the ball at the 3-yard line and then go all the way to one side of the field and then reverse it the complete other way, then house it for 97 yards. It was the first punt return of the NFL season, and it was something that coaches and players said, I've never seen anyone do that before. That's how bad the punt return team is. That's how bad special teams are.
I've never seen that, and if I'm the Bears and I played almost a perfect first half of football, and going into half against the Packers, even with a return for a touchdown, I am still only 6 points up. You had to feel like you had no shot at winning that game. Seriously.
The Bears still suck. That's
right.
That's death, taxes, and the Bears suck. That's the three constants in life.
That's it. Because I'm thinking to myself, I'm watching it, and again, it's a replay, but I'm thinking the Bears played damn near a perfect first half of football, and they were only up 6. And Rodgers is on a bad toe. Guys are getting banged up, and Rodgers is still slicing you up, making it look easy. Only 6 times out of 40 dropbacks did he even get pressure. And I said earlier today, remember when Peyton Manning was just so good, and his apex at about 36 or 37 years old, where he was just lights out, and he was like the Matrix. He could just see it coming, and on big rushes, he could get rid of the ball quickly. On rushes where they were going to give him time, he could just step up. and make his throw it off his back foot, throw it off his front foot. That's where Rodgers is at. But Rodgers, I believe, is smarter than Manning. I know that's hard to believe, but I believe he's smarter than Manning. And
well, he beat an astronaut in Jeopardy.
Well, that goes without saying, So, but was it an actual NASA astronaut or was it a Bezos astronaut? I mean, that's the whole thing.
No, it was the NASA astronaut.
It was a NASA guy, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, but it was amazing. So, anyway, long story short, Rodgers is just on a whole different level. And if I'm the Bears and I'm only up by 6 at half after playing almost a perfect half of football, I'm stunned that I'm even in the game because Rodgers is just going to beat the hell out of me, and you got to know it. Let's do this. We're going to step away, take a quick break. We're broadcasting live from Curley's Waterfront Pub and Grill here on Pewaukee Lake. It's the Bud Light Huddle, and it's brought to you by our friends at Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the Bill Michaels Sports Talk Network. Stay tuned. We got more coming up right after this.
This is the Huddle with Bill Michaels on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
We had one today. Yeah, Kenny Clark got added to the list. Other guys are going to have to step up, and that's just the world we live in right now.
Welcome back to the program, the Bill Michaels Huddle. It's brought to you by our friends at Bud Light. Those are the words of Matt LaFleur as he talks to the media each and every day. And getting into the protocols, by the way, I was mentioning this earlier, the NFL Said under the previous protocols, a vaccinated individual who tested positive for COVID-19 had to produce 2 negative tests 24 hours apart before being cleared to play. Now, the new protocols relax that requirement, which could enable teams such as Cleveland, Los Angeles, the Rams, Washington, all to get players back for this weekend's games. Now, they kind of give you some of the, and I read it a little bit earlier, but 2 PCR tests that are either negative or produce a CT value of 35 or greater and blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's very scientific, but the bottom line is if you test, you can test out of this thing within a 24-hour period, and you can be eligible to return. So under the new guidelines, that by Sunday could allow Kenny Clark, should he test negative by, say, Saturday, to play, which is good news. Kenny Clark, for those that did not know, Kenny Clark has tested positive for COVID and went on the protocol list today. And so that was breaking news. But let's just say it's asymptomatic and it's not a test that's going to take any period of time, blah, blah, blah. Then he could test out of it. So we'll wait and see. Our buddy Ebo at the Zone out in Madison joining us on the line as well. So I want to go back to a couple of things out of the NFL this week, Ebo. One is that game the other night, we saw the Rams beat the Cardinals. So the Packers now stand alone, not only atop the NFC, but atop the NFL. Are the Green Bay Packers the best team in the NFL in your mind?
Man, I always look at, Ric Flair, Bill, WWE, to be the man, you got to beat the man. And I'm saying Tom Brady and the Buccaneers are the men, I guess, in the situation. But when you look at the Green Bay Packers with what Aaron Rodgers is doing, I know Brady's up there for MVP as well, the odds-on favorite, and they got a good roster. And I think I go with a little more healthier. I would say the Packers are 1B and the Buccaneers 1A, but they're right there neck and neck for me. It's just because the Packers have so many injuries and the special teams unit is so bad. That's why I give the Packers the 1B and the Buccaneers the 1A.
I would agree.
It's close.
See, I would agree that, you got to beat them. And right now they're the reigning champions. They're obviously a team that is winning. They're going to win their division. No doubt. So I would agree with that. There is something different about this Packers team this year that I think I would take the Packers over Brady anywhere at this point.
Yeah.
And every time I look at this team and I think the only game that really scared me for whatever reason was the Vikings game. And this week doesn't bother me. I get the feeling that it's not going to be an easy game, but I get the feel if I had to pick the score, and we will tonight, I'll pick it 27-17, 27-20. I think the Packers get the win. I don't think it's going to be an easy game, but I think the Packers get the win. But I can't sit here today and say that there's a team left on the schedule that's easily going to beat them. That's going to make me nervous. Maybe a little bit if everything's healthy and Dalvin Cook's good and they're trending in the right direction, that type of thing. Maybe the Vikings do begin to scare you a little bit, but I think the Cleveland Browns were at the beginning of the season the team that I thought, they're really going to be vying for the top spot in the AFC North, and they have fallen off dramatically. I don't have a lot of belief in the Ravens. I don't have a lot of belief anymore in the Vikings, even though it's a rivalry game. I think the Packers are going to be coming in loaded for that game. And then the Lions, God love the Lions, but they lose almost a significant player each and every week, and they have no way to recover from that. They lose their tight end, Hawkinson, today. He's done for the season. So I don't have any fear of the Lions. If anything, the Lions are going to have their bus warming up so those guys can get the hell out of town after the game. So I think the Packers win out. And God, sitting here today, if you look at the way the Packers season would finish, holy crap, the Packers are going to end up, 14-3 in the season?
Yeah. No, Bill, you're totally right. You look at this. You look at the schedule. If the Packers do win out, then they are the number 1 seed. They are the best team in the NFL. Playoffs go through Lambeau Field, but to your point, Lamar Jackson's hobbled. Even if he is starting, he does have an ankle sprain. If not, it's Tyler Huntley. Give me Aaron Rodgers over that all day, even if it's in Baltimore. The Browns are decimated with COVID-19. They're a shell of themselves anyways, even if they were healthy. The Vikings, yeah, rivalry. I could see that being, a little closer, but it's at Lambeau. Little revenge on the brain. Zimmer's probably going to be done this year. And then the Lions only win, Bill, when you pick them, once every 3 times.
Right.
So
I know.
The Vikings already got that out of the way because you picked them. They won. Now they're done.
I just in Tampa Bay, by the way, for those that are listening, Tampa Bay has leapfrogged Arizona as the second team in the NFC. So I would agree with you when you talk about rankings and such, where they stand, because Tampa Bay rising up, the second ranked overall team right now in the NFC. And then
they do have an easy schedule. Tampa Bay does have an easy schedule.
They do. And then there's Dallas. And if the playoffs were today, Dallas would face the Rams at AT&T Stadium. I don't think Dallas beats the Rams. I just don't. I don't have any faith in that. That defense has played a little bit better, but their defense went on the skids for a while. They weren't running the ball great. Dak Prescott hasn't looked great. I think the Rams are going to beat the Cowboys. And Matthew Stafford is right now in many metrics a better quarterback than Dak Prescott. And they've got the additions to their defense, and they still have Cooper Kupp and company. I would pick the Rams on the road at this point to beat the Dallas Cowboys.
I would love to see the matchup. I would also love the drama of the Cowboys coming to Lambeau for a playoff game, obviously. But you can either go one or the other way with this one. So Matt Stafford, when they went on the road and beat the Arizona Cardinals last week, that actually was Matt Stafford's first career win against an opponent that was 5 games over 500. He was 0 for 17 in that situation until that game where he's now 1-17. So if you get the Cowboys on the road and they're +5, either he got the monkey off his back or it's going to come back to haunt him.
Yeah. I think Matthew Stafford is always – I think he's a good quarterback. I don't think he's a great quarterback. I think he's in that second, maybe even third tier of quarterbacks. But now he's got guys around him. Now he's got a coach around him. Now he's got a defense around him. Even going back to the years that he had Megatron and had Ndamukong Suh, they were always missing a guy or two. Their secondary was always a mess, or they didn't have a tight end, or they did have a tight end, but they didn't have enough wideouts, and they always had issues. They didn't have depth on the offensive line. This team seems to be more well-rounded and deeper. And let's be honest, I don't even think they have a draft choice going into this upcoming draft. So they're going for it. I mean, they
don't have Detroit attached to their name. They don't have Detroit attached to their
name. And if you go by my buddy's thinking, then he says, look, Brady did it last year. He left the Patriots, went to Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay was hosting the Super Bowl. He goes to the Super Bowl and wins the Super Bowl. So he's hoping that he leaves Detroit, goes to L.A. L.A.'s hosting the Super Bowl. Therefore, he's going to play in it and win the Super Bowl. I don't think it's going to happen, but now, and there's no way I think the Rams come, even though they have to face them twice, I don't think there's any way in hell the Rams come into Lambeau Field in a frigid January in an NFC Championship game and beat the Green Bay Packers.
Oh, Bill, that's called being L.A. soft. Breaking news, though, speaking of the Rams, I just saw Schefter tweet this out. 9 more Rams have just went on the COVID-19 list.
Oh, they're just getting destroyed. By the way, the NFL just put out a statement as well regarding the COVID-19 protocols. Throughout the pandemic, we have continuously evolved our protocols to meet our goal of advancing the safety of the players, coaches, and staff. The changes we are making today aim to address the increase in cases and the advent of the Omicron variant. Effective immediately, all clubs will implement preventative measures that have proven effective, masking regardless of vaccination status, remote or outdoor meetings only, eliminating in-person meals, no outside visitors while the team's traveling, and they're going to continue to strongly encourage booster shots as the most effective final protection. Finally, based on the expert advice, they will adjust the return to participation requirements for those who have recovered from COVID-19. All of these things are grounded in the data and science-backed approach, with safety being the number one as far as trying to cover the entire NFL community. Well, there you go. In other words, we want to get everybody back so we don't miss any games because we don't want to lose the money. But there you have it. The Browns have 20 players that have tested positive for COVID. And the biggest question is, and Baker Mayfield stated it, should the NFL just postpone this game? Right. At the beginning of the season, the NFL said you get a vaccination, and if you end up missing games and you're unvaccinated because of COVID, then you will be docked your game check. But for players that have been vaccinated, they said you will not be docked your game check, and therefore they never planned on this kind of rise. If it keeps going like this, I think they may have to. They may have to postpone a game or two. If it doesn't matter in the standings, maybe you just lose that game. I know they don't want to lose any money, but if the health and safety of teams is paramount, what do you do? I mean, guys are testing positive. I mean, everybody's testing positive at this point. The
Yeah,
NBA
and
has
now
been
they-
hit with a rash of it. You know, I mean,
The
even,
NHL is too.
yeah. So, yeah. What do you
And
do?
the NHL, the NBA, NHL is 99% vaccinated. I'm pretty sure there's only one player who isn't, and they have an outbreak. NBA is over 97%. Outbreaks everywhere. NFL right now, we're seeing it happen in real time as 9 more Rams go on. So you look at what's going on. Obviously, what they're doing hasn't been working, and what's going to be happening now with these new protocols probably isn't going to be working. You got to think maybe you do got to postpone a game, but then what happens with the playoffs and how everything's scheduled? It's a conundrum that I'm glad I'm not in.
Yeah, it's. I don't know what to tell you. I'm not a scientist. I have no idea about this stuff, but
I don't think they do either.
They don't either. And and again, it depends on who you believe, what you believe, and all that kind of stuff. But it's getting. What's funny is, I know that the statistics in Wisconsin, for those that have tested positive, has gone up a little bit from where it was last year, and that's with 50+% of the population vaccinated. But in other places like Florida, where they just opened it wide up, they're not seeing as many. I mean, they're not seeing as many cases. I don't know what the hell to believe in.
They're the lowest in the country.
Yeah,
Florida.
So I don't know.
I don't know. It's a grand experiment. Decades from now, we'll look back on it and be like, man, what a wild time.
I kept thinking to myself,
if we're still around,
right? I kept thinking to myself a little bit earlier today. I said, it's funny because, I think we're going to look back on this time in our lives and say, not only did we lose time in our lives, but because of this, but at what point does it all end? How much has this changed our lives the way we're going to live it from here on out? And not to mention just the coverage of what it is we do. Will we ever see the inside of a locker room again? Will we ever, be able to sit down and talk to a guy? It's just, and again, I said this earlier today as well. I don't know what Super Bowl is going to look like. I know Mike Clemens and I have talked about it. We're trying it out, but one of the areas that is closing back down because of this is LA. And does this now threaten the Super Bowl? That's something you got to think about. Of all the times for this to be such a strained variant, do we lose the Super Bowl because of this? Or if you're a Packers fan, are you not able to go because of this? So it's just completely wild and off the charts right now, but it continues to get worse and not better. Andrew Brandt just tweeted out, the NFL's unspoken mantra during these 2 COVID years has been and continues to be, quote, we're playing through, to use a phrase via golf. So let's do this. We're going to step away, take a quick break, come back, and we'll get into some other things regarding the NFL. Urban Meyer out. Is anybody really surprised? Who won the money? Stay tuned. We got more coming up right after this.
This is the Huddle with Bill Michaels on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
He is. It's day-to-day right now, I would say. Just got to see how it responds day-to-day. He's not going to practice today. We're excited for the challenge in front of us, playing a very good Green Bay Packer team, and led by Aaron Rodgers, obviously, and all their great players and coaches. So we're looking forward to it. It's going to be back home again, first time in 3 weeks. We're excited about that, and we're preparing for the game as best we can, try to put our best foot forward.
Well, there you go. Out of the Baltimore Ravens organization. Head coach John Harbaugh talking about their leader, Lamar Jackson, who's got an ankle injury. He was out again today, listed as day-to-day. And we'll wait and see what the final outcome is tomorrow as to whether or not I got to think that he's going to go in this game, but he's going to give it a try. But if he's not successful, then you yank him. And then after that, you go Tyler Huntley or Josh Johnson. One of those two guys would be the quarterback for the Baltimore Ravens. So get ready for Tyler Huntley or Josh Johnson, just in case Lamar Jackson can't go. We'll wait and see. Ebo joining us at the Zone Studios out in Madison. Urban Meyer out of a job. I don't think anybody that watches college football or NFL football didn't think this was coming. I thought that when the Notre Dame job opened up, he might leave and go take that job. Suddenly health issues or something, he'd jump and embarrass himself. But instead, he just embarrassed himself, and he still never left for a job. He gets fired by the Jacksonville Jaguars, who continue to be somewhat of a train wreck. But does he work again, in your opinion, in a Power 5 conference in college football?
Man, I think if there is a bigger program that is in some hard times and Urban Meyer, wants to bite the bullet and go somewhere that's maybe not a huge one, but a little less. Yes. But right now, I think he's got to cool down for a bit, but then, yeah, I do see him possibly back in college football in a Power 5 school. I do. How about you?
Part of me says, I'm with you. I'm like, yeah, he's going to work again. No problem. But that video of him in the bar in Columbus, Ohio, there is going to be a lot of athletes because, and this was a great point today. We had a guy on from the Jacksonville.com website and the page down there that follows the Jaguars. And he said, what program, what athletic director, what president, school president? I mean, the football program, usually the coach is more visible, more recognizable than any one of those people in that organization. He becomes the face of your institution. Is that the guy you want being the face of your institution? And I tell you what program, say, in the SEC, do you think he would take over?
I mean, something a little lower, but, Urban Meyer, college football has done things that are scummy, right? I mean, so has the NFL. But there's been scumminess in college football, and there will continue to be scumminess in college football. At the end of the day, the question is, can he win you games, and can he take your team to the highest level? Urban Meyer has shown time and time again that in college, he can do that. NFL, he can't. He'll never be back in the NFL.
No, he'll never.
In college, he's shown that he can, take you to the mountaintop. It's just, I mean, could you explain away, a co-ed dancing, a younger lady dancing with him at a bar when his grandkids were just there, like an hour before? I don't know. I think you could, because winning is a cure-all, Bill.
Could he, say, take over Texas? Or, and the Big 12 isn't even going to be the Big 12 anymore once Oklahoma and Texas leave to go to the SEC. So he's not going to get a Big 10 job. There's not going to be a team, maybe Nebraska. Maybe Nebraska would take a shot at it.
Oh, dude, yeah, there you go, Bill. Nebraska would salivate at the thought of that.
Yeah, that would be the only team I would see grabbing him. I can't see Michigan do it, obviously. He's not going to Michigan State. Penn State, no. Maryland, Rutgers, I don't even think he'd want those jobs, but who knows? I don't think so. Indiana, no. I could see Nebraska. If they make a change, I could see Nebraska going after him. They're doing anything at this point to become relevant in the Big Ten, and it would put him in the Big Ten West. Therefore, he's not going head-to-head consistently with Ohio State.
What about Miami? What about the U?
I could see Miami.
Spitballing.
Yeah, no, I could see Miami. That's they don't care.
I have a gambler to the stars, a line setter out in Vegas, and he, that's his job. He makes gambling lines on everything. I have him on the show tomorrow. I'm gonna ask him tonight if he can do a line for me, Bill, for Urban Meyer's next landing spot, and I'll let you know. I'm gonna text him right now.
What about like Florida State? Does he dare go to the in-state rival from Florida to Ohio State and back to Florida State? Because ever since Bobby Bowden left, I mean, that program's been in disarray, and they're a very proud program. I can't. Trying to think where in the Pac-12. I mean, I can't see him. Colorado was once a proud program, and they stink. USC just made their hire. He's not going to UCLA. Arizona State has Herm Edwards. Utah won their South Division, if I'm not mistaken. They ended up 10th in the country. Stanford wouldn't come anywhere near him. Maybe Washington. Take him as far to the northwest as you could possibly take him.
Put him out in the trees,
right?
With Sasquatch,
right?
Another Sasquatch reference. Bill, I just texted my gambler to the stars. I said, "You got a line on this? If not, make one." He's going to get back to me, so I will let you know.
Yeah. Kelly just went to LSU. They're not going to make a change at Auburn. Yeah, Riley guy. The Tennessee's already had Bruce Pearl. They don't want another problem.
I had a listener call him today and say, because they're not happy with Paul Christ, they said, what about Wisconsin?
Yeah, no, that ain't happening.
Never.
That ain't happening.
Never.
There's too many standards there.
We know Urban doesn't have standards.
Could he possibly go back to Florida? Would Florida revisit him? I mean, he had the program damn near on probation by the time he left with all the problems that he had and so many players that were being arrested and so many off-field problems. And maybe they just want to wash their hands of the guy and say, good riddance, get the hell out of here.
Yeah, probably.
But I'm just trying to think where he would go. And
because he's not destined to go just home and sit around on his couch. He'll go somewhere. He's
going to take a year off. And maybe then after the next year, he comes back because a year, out of the spotlight, if he doesn't go to some kind of a Fox situation again, which I can't imagine him doing that. But if he doesn't go there, I got to think somebody's going to call him and they're going to say it's going to be worth it for the money to put our program back on the map and get us recruits and show, because even though he got out of Ohio State, look at where Ohio State ended up. I mean, Ryan Day took over, and it's been fantastic ever since. So, and you look at Luke Fickell, who was one of his underlings, who has Cincinnati as one of the top programs in the country. So the guy does. So it's kind of like Midas touch. He's going to come in. He's going to do some things that are shady. He's going to act like the king. You're going to have to put up with a lot of crap. You're going to have to hide a lot of stuff. And by the time you convince the guy to get the hell out of there, your program's going to be so much, you would assume anyway, so much higher profile with a legitimate shot of winning that you can say, go ahead and start recruiting and find somebody to take it to the next level or keep it at a high level of prominence. So somebody's going to call, I got to think. I got to think somebody's going to give him a buzz before it's all said and done. Let's do this. We're going to step away, take a quick break. I got another short segment coming up, and then another hour yet to go. We're broadcasting live out here at Curley's Waterfront Pub and Grill right here on Pewaukee Lake. Beautiful place. We're brought to you by Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the Bill Michaels Sports Talk Network. They've got cheesy sliders, chicken sliders here tonight. They've got Bud Light specials flowing tonight. Tons of people in the house. They've got a party, a retirement party for the Oconomowoc police chief over here. And they had a bunch of people in earlier for the fantasy football, the Guillotine League that they had going on. So a lot of things happening out here at Curley's Waterfront Pub and Grill. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Huddle coming up next.
This is the Huddle with Bill Michaels on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Fields from the pocket to the outside. Look out, picked off for Sue Douglas. And Douglas will take it all the way for a touchdown.
We're still on that third ball that you almost picked off on the right-hand side of the slot. How often are you reading these formations? How often are you acting on instinct?
Yeah, just reading it, a little bit of instincts, but mostly just reading it and seeing it. I kind of knew I could have got that route or something else, so I was playing for both of them, and they just ran that one.
All right. How we looking? Welcome back to the program. Bill Michaels Show. We continue on. Glad to have you. 877-867-1670. If you have an inkling to chime in, please feel free to go ahead and do so. We got our buddy Ebo at the Zone in Madison and chatting with us. And when you look at this Packer, getting back to the Packers and the Baltimore Ravens, we'll get more into this coming up in the next hour as well. But the Packers, their offense, and I talked about this earlier, but the Packers' offensive line has just eroded. No Bakhtiari, no Josh Myers, no Elton Jenkins, now Billy Turner. They're down to one starter. John Runyon has played every game, but how they're getting it done, I mean, Stenovich and company have got to, if Matt LaFleur wins Coach of the Year, those two guys should get Assistant Coaches of the Year for what they've been able to do, because to be able to put this offensive line together and still keep Aaron Rodgers upright has been nothing short of amazing. And as far as the pressures and the sacks go, he's not even one of the most sacked quarterbacks in the National Football League statistically. So when you look at what Aaron Rodgers is doing and still being able to compete for an MVP without an offensive line that from beginning to end has been just incredibly banged up. I mean, Joe Burrow's been sacked 41 times this season. 41. So when you start to pan down and you're like, okay, where's Aaron Rodgers ranked? Right in the middle. He's only been sacked 24 times. 24 times. That's it. So, and then you're talking about quarterbacks that have been sacked about that many that have played. Tom Brady's only been sacked 16. He gets rid of the ball relatively quick. You look at Kirk Cousins, who's been sacked 18. Matthew Stafford only 20 times. But Aaron Rodgers, I mean, if you take out some of the guys who have missed starts consistently, Sam Darnold's on that list, but he's only played 9 games this season. Same with Davis Mills out of Houston. So when you look at it where Aaron Rodgers ranks, he's actually about 18th or 19th on that list for starters that have had 10 games or more. It's amazing where he's at right now as far as the offensive line not giving up sacks. But they're running out of guys and they're running out of bodies. Could this team, Ebo, in your opinion, be the best team in the NFL, but they're not able to cross the finish line because they just don't have enough bodies?
Well, I think a lot of credit you got to give to Brian Gutekunst, right? He's been able to bring in these guys, some veterans, the guys that had experience, and really been able to mesh with everyone else through the face of adversity to protect Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is also a smart cat too. Like Dennis Kelly, for example, came into that Bears game and played great. I was just reading Dennis Kelly started 17 games last season for the Titans, didn't allow a single sack, but then came to the Packers, didn't play a single offensive snap for the Packers until week 14. Yep. And now he's a starter because of injury. You got a guy that didn't give up a single sack last year, hadn't played at all really until week 14, and now, a starter. And that's the veteran leadership now you have on the line. A lot of credit to Brian Gutekunst and these guys kind of like Yaj Nijman and other guys stepping up to the occasion and looking like you'll get David Bakhtiari back sooner rather than later so that you're going to get a little healthier. It's crazy how they've been able to be this MASH unit and protect Aaron Rodgers so good. I think they can do it.
What now? Going back to, you made the comment that when you look at Bakhtiari not coming back, and I know he's practicing and he's listed as limited in practice, but what game do you think he comes back? If you're a betting man, and I know you are, because he's not coming back this week. I would be shocked if he's back this week. My thought is that he either comes back for the Minnesota game, or he comes back for the final game against the Lions, and therefore he's kind of got a little bit of his legs under him, so to speak, getting ready for the postseason. That's when I think he comes back.
I'm right there with you, Bill. I don't think he comes back this Sunday. I don't think he comes back, next on Christmas against the Browns. It's either got to be that Vikings game or that Lions game, because you don't want to throw him into the playoffs rusty. Let him, kick the tires a little bit. Probably January 2nd against the Vikings at Lambeau, see how it goes. And then again with the Lions, because that's kind of like a tune-up, And then playoffs, Bakhtiari, Agent 69 out in full force.
I think he comes back. Nobody has even seen Josh Meyer, so the thought that Josh Myers would come back, I think, is maybe a pipe dream at this point. The other question I get all the time is, what about Za'Darius? And for those that are wondering, because you keep hoping that Za'Darius is coming back, look, he's seen, but he's not practicing. There's a big difference between being football ready and just kind of walking around high-fiving the guys on the sideline. I don't think you're going to get him back this season. That's always been my thought. I think my hope is he comes back, but my realistic thought is you're not going to get Za'Darius. If you got Za'Darius, Jair, Bakhtiari, and Josh Myers all back in the coming 4 weeks, I think God himself then would come down with Lombardi and would be probably sitting on the sidelines coaching this team with Matt LaFleur. I don't know how that's going to happen. Stay tuned. We got an hour down, and we got an hour yet to go. Broadcasting live at Curley's Waterfront Pub and Grill out here in Pewaukee on the lake. Stop in, say hi. All brought to you by our friends at Bud Light. We got more right after this.
This is the Wisconsin Sports Zone Update.
Well, the Packers were back on the field for practice earlier today. Unlike much of the rest of the NFL, the team has not been hit hard by positive COVID tests this week, says Coach Matt LaFleur.
Fortunately, been okay. No coaches or players. But again, you got to take it day by day, because it's obvious it's very problematic for a lot of teams out there.
LaFleur admits he can only do so much in an effort to keep his team on the field.
You can only control what you can control. I don't think anybody's controlling this, obviously. So I would say it's similar to how you have to deal with injuries. You just got to play the hand that you're dealt. And you just got to learn to adjust and make the necessary changes.
There was some good news on the injury front. In addition to quarterback Jair Alexander practicing for a second straight week, tackle David Bakhtiari also returned on a limited basis for what was essentially a walkthrough practice. It's unclear if either have any chance of playing Sunday in Baltimore against the Ravens. Meanwhile, Wisconsin signed 13 players today as part of its 2022 recruiting class. Among the signees, 4-star offensive lineman Joe Brunner and 3-star quarterback Miles Burkett. Class ranks 49th in the country, 13th in the Big Ten. Team is on several more players who could sign in the next 2 days or during the February signing period. This year's Badgers getting ready for their bowl matchup with Arizona State on December 30th in Las Vegas.
Want to save even more at Fleet Farm? Well, now you can with Fleet Rewards. It's free to sign up, and there's no credit card required. Using Fleet Rewards is easy. Earn points every time you shop. Plus, get exclusive member offers, birthday and anniversary perks, free tire rotations, and more. Download the Fleet Farm app or create an account at fleetfarm.com/rewards to start earning points today. Fleet Farm, proudly serving the Midwest since 1955.
Well, Giannis Antetokounmpo, one of 6 players not playing tonight for the Bucks against Indiana. He's in the NBA's health and safety COVID protocols, and the Badgers back in action tonight against Nicholls State. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heilprin.
Are you ready for some football? He talks green and gold. Look at the 8. Go! This is the Huddle with Bill Michaels.
Welcome back to the program, hour number 2. Hour number 2 of the Bill Michaels Show. We are glad you're with us. Glad you're with us. If you are enjoying the program tonight, we certainly thank you for hanging out with us. I am broadcasting live out here at Curley's Waterfront Pub and Grill. Good house tonight. Not packed house, but there's still a few seats remaining. But man, it's nice. Good group of people in here this evening. So come on by and say hello. Out here until 8 o'clock. Another hour of the show yet to go. Tonight you've got Kansas City and the Chargers, the Chiefs and the Chargers. Patrick Mahomes on the road taking on the Chargers tonight at SoFi Stadium. And that'll kick off. We've got Saturday night football as well. If indeed the Browns are actually able to field a team, we'll wait and see, because they've got so many COVID issues. 20-plus players now on the COVID list as it continues to grow. And that has been an area of concern. The NFL coming out today with different policy mandates and such, going back to the very restrictive in-house meetings and Zoom meetings and such now as well. So that's going to be a little bit different for many teams. But nevertheless, the Packers continue to get ready for the Baltimore Ravens. By the way, all teams are playing now. There are no more bye weeks in the NFL. So your full slate of 16 games this weekend, next weekend, for the remainder of the season will culminate. Ebo joining us from the Zone. Our studio's out in Madison. And Ebo, so we talked a lot about the offense and Aaron Rodgers and the toe and Bakhtiari. Defensively speaking, how big of a loss do you feel it is or will be if Kenny Clark is not able to go because of the COVID protocol on Sunday?
Well, he's a monster, That guy's what do you call him, Bill? A moto grader,
a road grader. He's a beast.
A road grader.
He's a road grader.
I mean, he's a monster. I love me some Kenny Clark. So obviously, it's a huge blow. But what have we known about the Packers all season? Offense, defense. Well, we won't talk about special teams. Offense, defense. If you lose guys, other guys step up, and all of a sudden have incredible games. So yeah, it hurts. But I'm going, trends are my friends. And right now the trend is the Packers figure a way to get it done. And I think they'll figure a way to get it done without Kenny Clark.
I think they get it done. The one thing I will say, I guess, is the great equalizer, and that's injury. Without Kenny Clark, we know Lamar Jackson is ailing with an ankle injury, and he has not practiced all week. We'll wait and see what happens tomorrow. Yeah. But if he can't go, then it's not as imposing. Because, I mean, that guy's obviously got wheels, and he's always looking to run and run first. He's one of the better running quarterbacks in the National Football League. But if he can't go, then the loss of Kenny Clark, while against the run, is obviously detrimental. It's not as huge a loss if you don't have to face Lamar Jackson. And if you do face Lamar Jackson, I got to feel that their game plan would almost be really similar to what Matt LaFleur had the first week after the toe injury to Aaron Rodgers, and that is probably 40 out of 70 snaps are going to be out of shotgun. So the guy doesn't have to run around. He's already back in the pocket. He can just hand off the football. They can kind of protect that ankle a little bit. And if he needs to move absolutely as a last resort, he will. But I can't imagine this guy taking off and running. So without Kenny Clark, I know there were some people today when this was announced like, oh my God, and people jumping off the roof, but I don't think this is that big a deal. I mean, I know and I'm not downplaying Kenny Clark, but what I'm saying is if you're going to have Lamar Jackson be down, best case scenario is to have your nose tackle go down with COVID this week of all weeks, because you'd rather have him back for the stretch run than you would against an AFC opponent and an opponent without a running quarterback. So I'll take it any day.
Yeah, most definitely.
Like yeah.
Yeah, and even if I know you mentioned it, but even if Lamar Jackson is playing, he's got an ankle sprain. Like, he's not 100%. No one's 100% in the NFL right now. LaFleur was saying earlier today that was it going to be the rookie TJ Slayton will play a more significant role Sunday with Kenny Clark out. So it's a rookie, cutting his teeth a little more. So why not see, I guess another glass half full thing here. You see what this guy's got to bring to the table, and maybe it's another player. If he doesn't press a little bit, then you'd have a little more, sleep sound at night, knowing that if anything ever happened or you needed to call upon him, that he would do well. So I guess you got to look at it as a positive light.
On the positive, Jordan Love back running the offense today at practice. Aaron Rodgers is still rehabbing the toe and taking it easy, but the team practiced indoors today due to the high winds in Wisconsin. So Jordan Love back taking all the starters reps with the first team offense as he comes back from the COVID protocol. And in the meantime, you've got Jair Alexander, who also continues to participate in some of the workouts, trying to come back from a severe shoulder injury that he suffered going back against the Pittsburgh Steelers. So you got Bakhtiari back, you got Jair back. So you got some good news there. It's not all bad. But yeah, the loss of Kenny Clark as things continue to mount, not only in the Green Bay Packers organization, but overall for COVID protocols for the NFL, hurting the league itself. And again, I go back to what we talked about in the first hour, the Cleveland Browns, they're out of people. They're just running out of guys. There are 20-plus guys now that have been put on the COVID protocol who may not return for Saturday's game. And there are now cries to say, hey, look, you got to postpone this thing. It's not going to be worth it. So I don't know what they can do, whether they play it Monday night to Sunday night, if they can get some of those guys back, maybe play 2 games on Monday night. But I don't know what the NFL is going to do. The NFL has stood steadfast in saying, we're just going to continue to play through this and not worry about it. So we'll wait and actually see what happens. In the meantime, this game, the secondary of the Baltimore Ravens beat up. Aaron Rodgers should have a field day. The last 4 out of 5 quarterbacks have thrown for 2 or more touchdown passes against this secondary. They haven't been good. The Packers obviously now throwing the ball more to Aaron Jones. It was good to see him catching passes out of the backfield against the Bears on Sunday night. It was good to see A.J. Dillon begin to grind it out. You've got cold weather games leading all the way up to the last game of the season. That's the one in the Dome in Detroit, where they're going to have the buses running and the cars running and just hoping to get the hell out of there. So offensively speaking, for as much as we talk about the line and losing guys and not getting guys back, and as long as if there's not a case to be made for Aaron Rodgers to win the MVP after all of this, I don't know what the guy has to do. Do you think that he's not the front runner because of the whole immunization controversy among many that just said, you know what, screw this guy, we're not going to vote for him?
Yeah, I think it plays a part in it for sure. I mean, the media is the one that votes on the MVP. So they felt, and I know a lot of them do, feel like they got burned and lied to by Aaron Rodgers, despite the NFL and the Green Bay Packers full well knowing about it and all his teammates. But since the media, Bill, we know the media likes to hold some grudges about some things. I mean, look at baseball. They hold grudges, obviously, with some guys who should probably be in the Hall of Fame, but probably will never get in. A little different than Aaron Rodgers saying I've been immunized, right? But yeah, I do believe that definitely plays into Aaron Rodgers not getting, I think Tom Brady is what he's been doing in games has been fantastic for Tom Brady. And I think I love the battle. I would love to see Aaron Rodgers get one because that would probably mean that he's been helping the Packers win out and then, get that 1 seed in the NFC and best team in the NFL. But I do think just a little bit of me wants to say that he will be snubbed. If it is like very close, he would be snubbed just because of, I've been immunized.
Here's the other thought. And I wonder if the NFL would change its thoughts. Let's say this is the postseason and say the Packers lose 20 players due to COVID. Do you think they move a playoff game?
God,
you would have to.
First of all, you would have to. You'd think. I don't want to be in the position to try and find out if I'm, as the Packer fan that I'm in or the Packers. But yeah, you would have to. What would you do? Like you couldn't usher someone else in, and you'd have to. I don't know what you would do. You couldn't advance a team. There'd be mutiny.
Right.
Especially because their protocols make no sense half the time, 90% of the time.
Yeah, I think you would have to. I think you would have to say that we'll move it within regards to their next opponent, whoever wins that game, how it would set up to give them enough time to turn around and get ready for it. But I think this.
But if you move it,
go ahead.
If you move it and it gets later in the winter, if the playoffs are running through Lambeau. And it's getting later in the winter, then all of a sudden you're dealing with colder temperatures. Yeah. What a conundrum.
If this weekend were the playoffs, like let's say the Browns, do you give them till Monday to clear 10 guys back? Do you give them till Tuesday at the latest? Do you move it a couple of days?
Well, they did make those new rules, right? With 3 ways for a vaccinated player to return under new protocols so they can return faster. So maybe you would just wait. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know what the NFL would do. I
think Roger Goodell right now is crossing his fingers, his toes, and praying to whatever God he believes in for it not to happen.
I think what the NFL is doing is looking down the road with these new protocols. I think the NFL is now looking down. Yeah. I think the NFL is looking down the barrel of the postseason, and so they're relaxing the protocols to say, look, we see something very legitimately coming where we're going to be in jeopardy of possibly losing a postseason game. And therefore, they had to make some kind of a decision to say, okay, we're going to start practicing this just to get ourselves ready for the postseason because it's becoming so rampant. And again, I still go back to the uncertainty of, and our buddy, the safety doc, who pays attention to the show as well, shout out to him, but he said, what about the college football playoffs as well? Colleges are dealing with it. Campuses are starting to shut down. Campuses are going back to all Zoom video conferencing now, and no in-class. And Brown University just shut their entire campus down. Nobody's even allowed to visit right now because of the outbreak. What happens, like the college football playoff system? There's so many what ifs to all of this, and I hate to be the doomsday sayer, but I get the sense that the NFL is starting to sweat a little bit as a lot of these teams are starting to come up with COVID protocol issues, and then they're looking at the postseason going, holy crap, what are we going to do if you get one of these playoff teams with 20 guys like the Browns that they can't get guys back under the safety guidelines we currently have in place?
I guess the to make it a positive, the good thing, if you can say that about this, is a lot of players right now are getting it. Therefore, and the new, more relaxed, if you're vaccinated, protocols, you can come back faster. So you're only not you're 4 weeks, 5 weeks out of the playoffs. So it's happening right now. And then in theory, if you get your antibody levels up, then your body would fight off the virus and not get it. Therefore, maybe more guys would be healthier come playoffs. I don't know. I'm trying to figure something out here.
Yeah. Hopefully it's something they don't have to worry about, but I think it's a very legitimate thought with 4 or 5 weeks remaining in the season until we get into the postseason, and it's starting to loom and becoming more and more massive. And then going back to in tonight's game, by the way, at SoFi Stadium, which is going to be host to the Super Bowl this year, you start talking about LA and some of the mandates at LA, because California, specifically the LA area, has been hit hardest by some of this. And they're already starting to put, mandates and masks and such back into place. So you just kind of wonder what exactly is going to happen down the road. And could we possibly lose or see a Super Bowl pushed back? And then that leads us into the next question going into baseball, because will we even have baseball? But if we do have baseball, what's spring training going to look like? How long is this going to continue to last? So I don't know. We're just kind of waxing.
Well, I was reading, Bill, today about baseball. I was reading about baseball today that the two sides haven't even talked since the initial head bumping. So they haven't even discussed anything.
The owners came into that and they said to the Players Association, what do you want? And they gave them their list. And after 7 minutes, they basically said, yeah, that's not going to happen. So come back to us when you're ready to talk. And that's how the owners left it. So most people seem to think after the second week of January, as you start getting to the point where you're talking about pitchers and catchers getting ready to report, that's when the two sides will get back to the bargaining table. And the optimistic side says that most people in the business feel that they'll get a deal done and they won't miss time in the season. And because spring training for many teams, including the Brewers, has become so lucrative, and they lost so much money over the last 2 years because of the shortened season because of COVID, and then obviously not having fans in the stands for a good portion of last season, that they don't want to lose any more money. So they want to get this done. They want to get this thing over with and to be able to open up their stadiums for spring training to be able to recoup some of that money. Now, we'll have to wait and see, but nevertheless, that's what it is. Let's do this. We'll talk a little more Packers, a little more Ravens coming back after the break. And then at the bottom of the hour, we'll get into our picks around the entire NFL, including tonight's game. The Chiefs on the road out in L.A. taking on Justin Herbert and the Chargers. Stay tuned. We got more of the Bill Michaels Huddle presented by our good friends at Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the Bill Michaels Sports Talk Network, right after this.
This is the Huddle with Bill Michaels on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
He's athletic. He can move around. They don't have to change their offense for him. He's obviously not Lamar. It's only one of them. In the history, it's only one of them.
Welcome back to the program. We are glad to have you. Tonight we got a contest between the Chiefs and the Chargers out in L.A. Joe Buck and Troy Aikman on the call, and that'll be coming up a little bit later on this evening over TV airwaves and on many of your cable channels. But up until 8 o'clock tonight, Ebo and I are going to take you all the way up the rest of the way. We'll start making our picks around the rest of the NFL coming up here shortly. The Packers on the road taking on the Baltimore Ravens. Matt LaFleur, do you think Matt LaFleur wins Coach of the Year for everything he's gone through this year, or does it go to Bill Belichick for what he's done with the New England Patriots?
I lean Bill Belichick on this one just because Matt LaFleur has a guy named Aaron Rodgers. Bill Belichick, they called him crazy when he got rid of Cam Newton, which was a great idea on his part, and went with Mac Jones. And Mac Jones is having an incredible season. It's Bill Belichick's molding him, and they're now I think they had Super Bowl odds like maybe plus 1,000. It was something high.
Yeah.
And now they're the number one seed in the AFC. So I think it goes to Bill Belichick. If they continue this.
Yeah, I am amazed at what Belichick's done with that team. I mean, they have now reeled off 7 straight wins. And when you look at this team coming up this weekend, you've got a Saturday night contest, as a matter of fact, with the New England Patriots. It's Saturday night taking on the Colts. Colts no slouch. They're 7-6. Yeah. Jonathan Taylor is trying to make a name for himself when it comes to a running back and possibly get a few votes for an MVP. He's not going to win it, but if he can get a few votes for what he's been able to accomplish on the season. But Mac Jones and company, man, just seem to be rolling. The one thing is they're on the road. They're in Indianapolis. Now, normally that's a big home field advantage, and I'm sure it's on Saturday night in Indy. It's going to be rocking, no doubt about it. But the Patriots are probably going, yeah, we'll take this. We don't have to play out at Foxborough. We don't have to play in the cold. We don't have to play in the wind. We don't have to play in the snow. They're probably a little bit happy about getting a dome game, much like the Packers for the last game of the season. They don't have to play outside. So I'm sure the Patriots are probably pretty happy that they're going inside, albeit a road game against a team with a positive record who's vying for a spot in the postseason, because at this point, you look and you figure that they are still trying to get themselves into the postseason. The Indianapolis Colts would be in if it was today. They would be the second wild card, and that means they would be playing the Kansas City Chiefs at Arrowhead at this point. So if tonight, if the Chiefs win and then the Colts win, the Chargers and the Colts would flip-flop. or the Chargers and the Colts would flip-flop, and therefore the Chargers would the Colts would actually face the Ravens in Baltimore, which I think the Colts actually match up better with them than they would against the Kansas City Chiefs, who seem to be streaking right now, winning 6 straight. So a lot of playoff implication beginning with tonight's contest and going into the weekend as well.
Is your head spinning yet, Bill? Your head spinning yet there?
I love this time of year. I really do. I absolutely love it. I think it's a terrific time of year, and I love the playoff scenarios. I love the teams that are still in it. I know the NFL Network was putting it out about who is actually still, capable by percentage points even of making it to the postseason. I'll say this: if you go to the NFL's website and you look at the playoff picture and you start to scroll down, you're like, wow. In the NFC, they still have the NFC. They still have all kinds of teams listed, including the Chicago Bears. An outside remote possibility if Christ rises from the dead and comes back and then could possibly get himself in shape to play every position for the Chicago Bears. I think there's a chance, an outside percentage chance, that if all goes right, the Bears could possibly make the postseason. But, it's completely crazy right now in the NFC. The AFC picture, a little more or less complicated, I guess that might be the best way to put it. But, yeah. The Bears are the last team on the bubble at 6-7 on the season. Wow. They're the last team on the bubble.
So you're telling me there's a chance.
There's a chance. The first team on the bubble is the Vikings, followed by the Eagles, Falcons, Saints, Carolina Panthers, Seahawks, Giants, Bears. The 3 teams are the 7 teams that are in it are the Packers, Buccaneers, Cardinals, and Cowboys, obviously. Then the Rams, 49ers, and then the Washington football team. And because of percentages and all that kind of stuff and what they have going on, they have it over the Vikings right now. Now, if Washington wins against the Eagles this weekend and the Vikings beat the Bears, then it stays the same. If Washington loses and the Vikings win, then the Vikings find themselves scooting into that final position, and they could end up finding their way into the postseason. I think the Vikings, with the running game that they have, could end up being a dangerous team. I don't think anybody's going to want to face them. Now, granted, it's probably going to be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers down in Tampa Bay, the way things would shape up. But if all were to end in the same order it is now. But out of all the teams, I think the only team that really would not scare me, but probably say some teams would probably have a little bit of fear would be the Vikings, because Kirk Cousins has had a hell of a year. It's just their defense stinks.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins has been balling outside that one play where he lined up under his guard instead of the center.
Right.
Like he's been having a great year
out in San Francisco.
And,
wow.
That's funny, isn't it? Zimmer's kind of fallen off a little bit though too. I mean, he's had some troubles this year, but yeah, they could sneak in. That's why that one game against the Packers, what was that in 3 weeks from now? That's the one that makes me raise an eyebrow, but I think Packers will win that out. But yeah, Vikings they could potentially sneak in.
Had the Vikings lost to the Steelers, there was a thought that Mike Zimmer might not make it to Friday.
Yeah,
but that win over the Steelers, and they ran the ball at will. Again, that Steelers defense is just so bad. TJ Watt just banged up, and everybody else just bad. I don't know what the Steelers are going to do. Obviously, this is the last year for Big Ben, but I got to think Mike Tomlin is safe, but they have to make some mass changes on that team for them to be a viable football team going into next season. But the Steelers, nonetheless, beaten last Thursday night. But had the Vikings not won that game, I think Mike Zimmer is looking for a job today. And that game gave Zimmer breathing room, and that game gave Zimmer and the Vikings just a little bit of hope. So that's a dangerous thing. 4 weeks remaining in the NFL season. The Chiefs and the Chargers just now getting underway. We'll take a quick break, and then when we come back, we'll start to make our picks around the entire NFL. And some good games on the docket this week. You got the Raiders and the Browns, the depleted Browns coming up on Saturday night, along with the Patriots and the Colts. And after that, you got a few good games, some rivalry games and such taking place. Not that they're big, huge, ginormous games, but the Saints and the Buccaneers, that's obviously a game in which Tom Brady has not had a lot of success. So who knows what happens on Sunday night. Packers and Ravens are probably one of the highlight games between the Giants hosting the Cowboys. But beyond that, we got some games to talk about. Stay tuned. We are broadcasting live at Curley's Waterfront Pub and Grill out here in Pewaukee. We are presented by our good friends over there at Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the Bill Michaels Sports Talk Network. Stay tuned. Couple segments yet to go right after this.
This is the Huddle with Bill Michaels on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Deep drop by Rodgers. And a long throw is hauled in by Adams sooner or later. Touchdown.
We kind of dug deep in the bag and went to a play that we haven't run in a while, maybe like 4 years or something like that. So it's been a while. We brought some old school stuff back. 12 kind of drew it up in his hand in the huddle, and we went out there and just executed it.
Aaron Rodgers drawing it up on his hand and then going out and executing a play that they had not run in almost 4 years. That's the words of Davante Adams as Rodgers strikes to Adams and puts the Packers back in the W column when those two begin to connect. Welcome back to the program. We are broadcasting live at Curley's Waterfront Pub and Grill. We are here on Pewaukee Lake. Right next to it anyway. If you know where Smokey's Bait Shop is, it's right next to it. Great place. Packed house in here tonight. Santa over my shoulder. It doesn't get much better than this when you talk about the holidays. Ebo joining us from the Zone out in Madison and the Palatial Studios there. And we start to take a look around at the NFL now and the game that's in progress, albeit they have had a rather serious injury. I couldn't tell who it was on the ground, but they're bringing out the medical staff and seem to be looking at what could be possibly a neck or head or spinal injury of some type. But the Chiefs and Chargers going at it early. This contest, Ebo, like we were talking about, the Chargers need this one. Justin Herbert started out on fire. Since then has somewhat cooled off. In the meantime, the Chiefs have won 6 straight. They sit at 9-4 right now. Oddly enough, I think they continue to win. I think they get a win tonight out at SoFi Stadium. The Chiefs are just playing some good football. Their defense has shown back up, and Patrick Mahomes is playing really well. I'm going to go with the Chiefs in this contest.
Yeah, Herbert's been balling, man. He's been on fire. Him and Patrick Mahomes are kind of going neck and neck with some stats lately. But, yeah, I'm right there with you, Bill. I think the Chiefs on the road going to be able to keep it humming. I will agree with you. Give me the Chiefs over the Chargers.
Then you've got in Cleveland on Saturday night, you've got the Browns. And this is a controversial game because the Browns, as of right now, have 20 players or more that are now on the COVID list. And and by the way, I'm sitting here watching the scene. I don't know if you got it on in studio, but I'm watching the scene in the NFL where you have a player, they've gone to the gurney. They have an ambulance coming out. They're taking him off the field. Yeah, looking rather serious. A lot of people throwing up prayers, some of his teammates. It looks like he is moving his arms a bit, but more shaking.
Is he doing the thumbs up? Or is it just I'm trying to find it right now.
That doesn't look good.
Uh-oh.
That doesn't look good. Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, obviously somewhat affected by all of this, but wow. Just an ugly scene. And you wish him nothing but the best. I couldn't tell who it was, to be honest with you. But nevertheless, you got the Chiefs over the Chargers. I think both of us are taking them there. In the meantime, the Browns, with 20-plus players on the COVID list, taking on the Raiders. Raiders 6-7, Browns at 7-6, but the Browns are trending in the wrong direction. But I don't think the Raiders can win on the road. I think even with a depleted Browns team, I don't know what the line is on this game, but it has to change almost minute by minute. And the fact that Baker Mayfield now has the COVID protocol as well, I don't even know if he's going to play. I'm going to take the Raiders on the road. I don't like this game at all, and if I'm a betting man, I probably don't want to play any money on this thing, but I'll take the Raiders on the road.
I was going to ask you who wins. You know, the Browns, the Raiders are COVID-19. But, yeah, Bill, if this game's not moved or, postponed or whatever, I will – like, the Browns have nobody. They literally have nobody.
Right.
Case Keenum is probably going to be the quarterback, I think, right? So, yeah, I will take the Raiders at First Energy Stadium in Cleveland.
Yeah.
I think the Raiders are favored right now by 3.5, too.
Yeah. The for those that are just tuning in, Jarvis Landry, Jedrick Willis, Wyatt Teller, Austin Hooper, their tight end, Baker Mayfield, Takrist McKinley, Malik McDowell, Odin Gabe, I can't even pronounce his name, but their middle line or their right defensive end, Anthony Walker, Ronnie Harrison, Troy Hill, John Johnson, Jamie Gillian, all on the COVID list. All of those guys.
It's insane.
They've got their left tackle out, their wide receiver Jarvis Landry out, their right guard out, their tight end out. I mean, it's just amazing. So I'm going to take the the LA Raiders the Las Vegas Raiders on the road, but I can't believe they're going to play this game.
Real quick, I think every single one of those that tested positive for COVID-19 on the Browns every one of them are vaccinated.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's the case and the NFL just changed their rules,
they could
the protocols.
They could test negative on Saturday morning even and play. But we'll have to wait and see. The Saturday night game, the 7:15 Central Time game, a good one. The Colts at home at Lucas Oil Stadium at 7-6, fighting for a postseason spot. The Patriots, who have won 7 straight at 9-4, going to Indianapolis. As much as I like the Colts at home, and I'm rooting for Jonathan Taylor to make some more hay in the MVP race, the Patriots just look way too good right now. I think the Patriots take Jonathan Taylor away. They do everything they can to stymie him, and I think the Patriots come away with a win.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. I think when it comes to this is Bill Belichick, and has been able to scheme and do everything so well, and continue to do so. And the Colts kind of been up and down. They're actually 3-4 at home. Patriots 6-0 on the road. I'll go Patriots.
Carolina Panthers have lost 3 straight coming into this contest. They take on the Buffalo Bills, who the Buffalo Bills were everybody's darling to win the AFC. And since then, they not only have lost 2 straight, but they started off the season with that loss to Pittsburgh, and after that, reeled off 5 straight wins. Since then, they are 2-5. I can't figure the Bills out to save my life. So as much as I got to take the Bills at home, it's cold weather. The Panthers stink. I'm going to take the Bills, but I take the Bills almost reluctantly.
No, yeah, I mean, 10.5 is what's going to the Bills right now over the Panthers. The Panthers have, injuries. They got problems. They got COVID. They got, quarterback, whatever. The Bills need to respond in a big way because they've been dive bombing. They'll come back up. I'm right there with you. Bill down. Give me the Bills.
Then you got the Cardinals on the road. The Cardinals who lost to the Rams in a hard-fought contest, but they have lost DeAndre Hopkins for the season. The question is whether or not they can go far without him. They lost J.J. Watt. They lost some of their key components. Kyler Murray is back and still throwing above 71% completion percentage, so he's been fantastic this season. The Cardinals, though, are taking on the 1-11-1 Detroit Lions. If the Cardinals would lose this game, I would be absolutely shocked. I'll take the Cardinals to win this thing.
Don't even have to think about this one. Cardinals all the way. Lions, sorry, Dan Campbell. I don't think he's got to cry anymore of tears of sadness. He got his win. So, yeah, Cardinals, big way over the Lions.
Then the game, I am really honestly intrigued to see this game. I know nobody in the world gives 2 blanks about it, but the 2-11 Texans taking on the 2-11 Jaguars now that the black cloud of doom being Urban Meyers has been lifted. Darrell Bevell, the former Wisconsinite, is taking over as the interim head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, they hate Darrell Bevell down there, too, apparently. But does this whole black cloud lift and suddenly the Jaguars get a reprieve and they get a win? I'm taking the Jaguars to get a little boost of energy after firing the head coach that the only thing he did correctly was get a couple of wins, was draft Trevor Lawrence, who I still think is going to be a good quarterback, and at least showing us some of his moves in that bar in Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah, what a question, right? I actually was going with the Texans first, and then once all of this unfolded with Urban Meyer, I'm like, do they inspire themselves over getting rid of Urban Meyer, and all of a sudden, as you suggested, the black cloud is lifted, and all of a sudden they're playing free and easy. A battle of 2 just bad teams. I do think it's an inspirational victory for the Jags. Give me Jacksonville.
Taking
because
Jacksonville.
Urban Meyer, just to rub it in his face.
There you go.
And they all go out clubbing and get some girls to grind with. And
there
dance
you
with.
go. He's got enough money now. He's got enough money. So maybe he ends up settling for about $30 million. Who knows what happens if the wife decides to walk out on him and take some of that with her on the way out the door. We'll wait and see. But he's got the money now. Now he can kick back and relax. This is an intriguing game because the Jets are 3-10, and you would assume against the Dolphins, who are 6-7, the Dolphins stink. And normally it's not that kind of a big game, but the Dolphins have won 5 straight. Do I dare say the Dolphins are going to find themselves eking into the postseason? I highly doubt it. But they're only a game behind Cleveland. And the Cleveland and the Buffalo Bills and the Indianapolis Colts are all vying for a spot in the postseason. So I'm taking the Dolphins to get yet another win and continue to pound on the door to say, let us in, let us in. And Tua, by the way, since all the rumors about him being traded never came to fruition, but because it seemingly aided him, he's been a much, much better quarterback. I've got Tua and the Dolphins to get the win.
Yeah, Tua Tagovailoa has been actually doing pretty damn well for himself this season, and the Jets are just a dumpster fire. We've always known that. Bill, I want to disagree with you on something eventually, but I will also go with the Dolphins, Hard Rock Stadium, to get it done. They're actually big favorites over the Jets, 9.5.
Then you've got the other divisional game, and you've got to go with the Cowboys at 9-4, who have not been overwhelmingly impressive since Dak has come back, and their defense has faltered and such. 9-4 on the road against the Giants, who are 4-9. The best thing about this season has been listening to some of the Dallas radio stations have Mike McCarthy on and have Jerry Jones on, and to listen to their opinions and how at some point they differ. And it's almost comical because Jerry inserts himself into everything, and to listen to Mike McCarthy just basically take a backseat to Jerry Jones. But I got the Cowboys on the road getting the win over the Giants. They win their 10th game of the season.
Yeah, just like Mike McCarthy guaranteed a victory over the football team last week, I will do my big Mike impersonation. Yeah, I'm going to guarantee a victory.
Yeah, how about
the
that?
Cowboys. We them boys over the Giants.
Yep, and the Cowboys won barely.
It was a wild game. I thought they're going to run away with it in the first first half. Then the second half, I'm like, what is happening?
Yeah, barely. It was 27-8. And all of a sudden you're thinking, wait a minute, this is going to be a runaway, put up a couple more scores in the fourth quarter. And then here come the Washington football team, and they dropped a couple of touchdowns and a missed PAT and a field goal or two. And all of a sudden it was a game, but it ended up being the Cowboys in the end. So Mike McCarthy's prediction came true, but only by had they had one more, maybe even 5 more minutes of game left, I think Washington ties it up and maybe even wins that contest before it's all said and done. Let's do this. We're going to step away. We're going to take a quick break and come back. We got the entire second half of the schedule. Nobody's on bye anymore the rest of the season. And the Packers and the Ravens, we'll get to that contest as well. Stay tuned. Broadcasting live at Curley's Waterfront Pub and Grill, brought to you by our friends at Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the Bill Michaels Sports Talk Network. We'll be back right after this.
This is the Huddle with Bill Michaels on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute.
Well, they're big, they're stout, they're physical. Yeah, they just do a really, really nice job of clogging up your run lanes. And then, they'll hit you with some pressures that can give you some tough looks to run into. So we're going to have to be on top of our game in terms of just IDing what the defense is trying to do to us and make sure that we have answers for it.
Those are the words of Matt LaFleur, clogging up the run lanes. Better the run lanes than your toilet. That's what I always say. So they've got that going for them, taking on the Baltimore Ravens coming up on Sunday, a Sunday afternoon game, as the Packers travel to Baltimore. Ebo back in the studios in Madison. I'm here at Curley's Waterfront Pub and Grill, brought to you by our friends at Bud Light, as we have the final segment of the Huddle sitting here in front of us. The Washington football team at 6-7 fighting the Eagles, who are also at 6-7. And the Eagles, when you look at, they've just very quietly kind of put themselves in. Now they'll win one, they'll lose one. They'll win one, they'll lose one. But very quietly put themselves in position to possibly jump up and grab themselves a playoff spot. They're only a half game back, if you want to call it that, percentage-wise, over the Minnesota Vikings. And Washington is just ahead of the Vikings. So this is a game with playoff implications, and it's played in Philadelphia. It pains me, but I'm gonna take the Washington football team because I thought they came battling back and showed a lot of guts and grit. And Heineke's been a great story, been an energetic story. Not that he's any kind of a great quarterback, but I'll go with I know Ben Kenny's going to kick me right in the bean sack tomorrow, but I'm going to take the Washington football team for this one.
Well, thankfully, Bill, Ben told me he's not a fighter, so I don't think he would confront you for anything. I was going to take the football team too. I think Jalen Hurts is coming back. They're not going to Gardner Minshew from what I was reading. Things could have changed. But yeah, I'm going to take the football team. I think they're going to be a little hacked off with how they got beat by the Dallas Cowboys, and they're going to take their pain out on the Eagles. Give me the football team.
There you go. The Titans and the Steelers. The Titans trying to hang on and keep themselves a space in the postseason. The Steelers, at this point, I think, are just kind of limping towards being anonymous in this offseason. Losing the other night against the Vikings. Their defense can't stop anybody. The Titans, the Titans are number 2 in the AFC, still at 9-4. And they've been impressive since Derrick Henry has gone down. Now they haven't been overwhelmingly impressive, but at least they've been able to kind of hang in there. And they're fighting right now to stay ahead of Kansas City. If Kansas City wins tonight, they have to get a win to stay ahead of Kansas City as the number 2 seed in the AFC. I'm taking Tennessee to win this ballgame.
I want to disagree with you on something. The Steelers are just so bad. And I know before you had left, Bill, what was it, Claypool with all his nonsense he did for the Steelers. I think there's just a lot of embarrassment and stink in that locker room right now. And I do believe the Titans, without Derrick Henry, still can get it done. So I got to disagree with you on something, but it's not going to be this one either. Tennessee Titans.
There you go. This one you might. The 7-6 Broncos hosting the 7-6 Cincinnati Bengals. And I'll tell you this, watching Cincinnati crap away that game the other night when I got into town, and everybody, there obviously the Bengals give them a little bit of juice, a little bit of energy, but Cincinnati crapping away that game at Paul Brown Stadium to the 49ers, giving it up late, and watching San Francisco and OT drive straight down and punch it into the end zone against a whiffless defense. This one, I am actually taking the Broncos at home. I just can't pick Cincinnati. They just continually disappoint, and they continually make me a lot of money.
All right, I'll do it. Just because you're a Skyline guy, and I'm pretty sure the Bengals there, is it Gold Star?
Gold Star, yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to go just because of that reason alone, Bill. Bengals, a little embarrassed of how they lost before, a walk-off touchdown by the Niners. So, yeah, give me the Cincinnati just to take down the Bronx.
There you go.
I'm only doing it just to be a contrarian.
That's okay. I get it. No problem there. You've got the next one up on the docket, the 6-7 Falcons taking on the 49ers, who did get a win in Cincinnati. The Falcons, as much as I can say the Falcons got a little bit of fight in them, and it's good to see, I think going to the West Coast, facing the 49ers, by the way, Garoppolo stinks. Oh, my God, Garoppolo stinks. He's just so bad. But I'll still take San Francisco at home to win this thing.
So, yeah, I mean, traveling to the West Coast like that is always tough on teams. I forget the exact stat, but, if you're the home team and you got another team traveling a ways, then you're already at a disadvantage. And, yeah, despite Jimmy Garoppolo stinking, yes, I agree. Give me Niners as well in Levi Stadium.
And the Atlanta Falcons sitting at 6-7. but are only 2-3 in their last 5 contests. Yeah, I can't take them. They're way too inconsistent. The Seahawks on the road taking on the Rams. Rams fighting for that spot in the postseason. The Seahawks, they're pretty much done. Their defense is lackluster. Russell Wilson's trying to do it with baling wire and bubble gum, and Pete Carroll's. I'm not going to say Pete Carroll's lost the team because people say Pete Carroll's going to be fired, but there's going to be some changes out in Seattle. The Rams win this contest. I don't think there's any doubt about it.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Rams win it. And does Odell Beckham score again? He's been on fire since going to the LA Rams, minus the Green Bay Packers game. So yeah, I will also take the LA Rams over the Seattle Seahawks. Seahawks are done. Russell Wilson's going to be out of there. Pete Carroll will stay. I agree with you. They're just a mess.
I'll tell you this: would you want to face the Rams again? Even though it would be at Lambeau Field, I still think the Packers would win the game, just because I don't think the Rams want to come to the bitter cold of Lambeau. But with Odell Beckham finally really starting to get the offense and Matthew Stafford finding him more and more, do you really want to face the Rams again?
Well, yeah, I mean, I do, because I know if they do face him, it's going to be a lot colder. There'll be some snow on the ground, and we know Odell Beckham Jr., he don't like that. And and LA makes everyone soft, Bill. So you get him out in Green Bay, Wisconsin in the elements, then I wouldn't mind facing him again, because I do believe the Packers would win.
Then you got the Saints on the road. They're taking on the Buccaneers. 1-4 in the last 5 contests. Brady is against the Saints. I didn't know that. The Saints,
really?
For whatever reason, have his number. But I can't take the Saints on the road in Tampa. I'm going to take the Buccaneers to get the win. The Buccaneers will win their 11th game. I don't see them losing the rest of the way. But I'm going to take the Buccaneers to beat the Saints. And even though that Saints magic seems to be there, I think this is Brady's second win against the Saints since coming to the division.
I mean, sure, it could be there, but is Taysom Hill the quarterback still for the New Orleans Saints?
I don't know. I don't think it matters.
Tom Brady versus Taysom Hill. Give me the GOAT. Give me Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. I think they're the biggest spread, on the board for Vegas. They're minus 11 over the Saints. No, I take that back. The Cardinals are 12.5. But yeah, give me the Buccaneers.
There you go. Then the Vikings on Monday night on the road taking on the Chicago Bears. The Bears, not much fight left in them, even though they did come out and perform rather well against the Packers. I think the Bears shot everything they had against the Packers to try to prove something. I don't think they do the same thing against the Vikings. I think the Vikings beat them. I'm taking the Vikings on the road in Chicago.
Oh, man. Nagy's really coaching for his job, isn't he? But you could say Mike Zimmer definitely is as well. Bears had everything they had. They unloaded the clip on the Packers and came up snake eyes.
Yeah.
Yep. Kirk Cousins, Minnesota Vikings, go to Soldier, get it done.
I'll say this, and again, the Bears played about as perfect a game as you can play against the Packers in the first half, and they were only leading by 6. They had to walk into seriously, you got to walk into the locker room at halftime and go, what the hell? We played great. And Aaron Rodgers, with a couple of flicks of the wrist, all of a sudden, it's not even a game to him. He's just like toying with us. So I think the Bears, they're pretty much done. They shot everything they possibly had, and Matt Nagy will be shot at the end of the season. Then you got Green Bay on the road, 10-3, taking on the Ravens. The Packers depleted. Kenny Clark out with COVID as of right now. No Bakhtiari as of yet. They've got no Billy Turner at tackle. I mean, they're as banged up gets, but they still have Aaron Rodgers, even with 9 toes. I'll take Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers to knock off the Baltimore Ravens. And Lamar Jackson, who is banged up and not practicing with a bad ankle, does not become an impact player in this contest.
Yeah, no doubter for me too, Bill. No doubt at all. I would take a Aaron Rodgers with 9 toes over a hobbled Lamar Jackson or even a Tyler Huntley, whoever the hell that guy is. So, yeah, Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, I think they cover. It's 5.5 now, so it's money coming to the Packers. So, yeah, give me the Packers over it, no doubt.
I will say this. There's the only thing that's in the back of my head is Lamar Jackson gets shot up, doesn't feel the pain of the ankle, and has one of those Michael Jordan-esque performances and just runs crazy with no Kenny Clark in the middle. That's just the nightmare that I would have, but I feel pretty confident about the Packers going into this contest. Don't forget the Green and Gold postgame show coming up immediately following the Packers and the Ravens Sunday. Thanks to everybody for taking a listen to us, everybody for watching us on the Bud Light live stream, the staff and management over here at Curley's Waterfront Pub and Grill in Pewaukee. They are fantastic. Ryan and his staff are always good to us, and we can't say thanks enough to them. And thanks to everybody that came out tonight. I mean, my God, what a terrific crowd. And thanks to Bud Light for being our proud sponsor for a long, long time and signing up for yet another year. Gotta love Bud Light. Those good people over there. Time for us to get out of there until we talk again.